Jordan B. Peterson, clinical psychologist turned global self-help guru and cultural icon. Lauded for reawakening young men to responsibility and personal agency, he branded himself as the antidote to chaos. His 2018 bestseller, 12 Rules for Life, transformed him into a global authority overnight. He spoke with conviction, acerbic clarity, and polished authority. So many saw in him the Spartan mindset incarnate. Yet beneath that veneer lies the collapse of a man who preached order, but crumbled under existential chaos of his own making. A figure who urged others to master their internal demons, but who himself was overtaken by them. A self-declared moral philosopher who refused to challenge narratives he found politically convenient. Peterson promoted himself as a thinker several moves ahead, diagnosing cultural decline and offering hard truths. His followers were told to stand up for themselves in the face of ideological tyranny. But when the crisis came, Peterson's strategy unraveled. He didn't disappear because he was winning the long game. He collapsed under pressure, physically, mentally, publicly. He wasn't operating behind closed doors or forging subtle alliances. He stood in the glare of media attention, was attacked on every front, then retreated into isolation at his lowest point. That is not strategic mastery. It is a lack of foresight. In public, Peterson preached discipline, agency, and resilience. Privately, he became physically dependent on benzodiazepines, prescribed during a tumult tied to his wife's cancer diagnosis and a severe autoimmune reaction. As dosage increased, his body rejected it in psychological withdrawal, delusions, insomnia, restlessness, suicidal ideation. Withdrawal brought him to the brink. Rather than taper carefully, Peterson pursued treatment in Russia and Serbia, underwent an induced coma, spent weeks in ICU, and returned with memory loss, motor weakness, and psychological trauma. What was meant to be clarity ended in absolute chaos. His daughter called it a year of absolute hell. Not only had he failed at his own prescription, he had publicly imploded, and in doing so, undermined his own message. Reddit critics have called him a hypocrite. One wrote, "He made his career telling people to internalize their fears responsibly, but he fell victim to the very beast he preached against. His addiction is the most visible proof he is a charlatan." Peterson framed it as dependency, not addiction. But that distinction rings hollow when the crescendo of his advice, clean out the chaos, ends in self-erasure. A real strategist builds alliances, safeguards reputation, and prepares for backlash. Peterson had none. His rise was solo, his fame tied to controversy, and his brand was meshed with moral absolutism. When the inevitable storm arrived, from critics, from institutions, from his own body, he had no institutional support and no contingency plan. Once taken off his stage, he vanished from it. Compare this to Spartan ethos, where preparation meets pressure, where alliances, discipline, and strategic patience guard the warrior. Peterson had none of that armor when it counted. Even as he claimed to encourage ethical clarity, Peterson refused to apply it to one of the gravest geopolitical crises today. On October 7, 2023, after Hamas's attack, he publicly urged Prime Minister Netanyahu to give him hell. Enough is enough. The implication: endorse escalation against Palestinians en masse. Critics called this incitement to genocide. Previously, Peterson had interviewed Netanyahu around Israel's right to exist, never challenging or interrogating Netanyahu's record on settlements or civilian casualties. Instead, Peterson echoed the Zionist narrative. They made something of it. From Sky News Australia, Peterson dismissed Palestinian suffering. The oppressor-oppressed narrative is shallow. Palestinians are hostage to their leadership, not to Israel. He denied alleged genocide, punished critics who called Israel's actions apartheid, and offered no nuance. The result: a public intellectual who refuses moral clarity in the face of documented injustice. Reddit users wrote, "He undid everything he built when he refused to criticize Israel, calling genocide a conspiracy and refusing to side with the oppressed." This is dangerous hypocrisy, a man who teaches moral courage yet refuses conviction when it matters most. This is not impartiality. It is calculated silence. Jordan Peterson was sold as the champion of truth, personal responsibility, and classical virtue. But his life unmasked him as a paper Spartan. Stage-trained, surface-tough, but internally fragmented. His strategy myth dissolved under scrutiny. His discipline collapsed into addiction. His message remained abstract, not lived. His silence on Palestine betrayed a rigid ideological alignment with power, not principle. A true warrior does not preach resilience while quietly capitulating to personal chaos. A Spartan does not turn a blind eye to mass suffering while calling others to speak out. Peterson's contradictions do not just undermine the man, they are his undoing. Millions have internalized his message. Young men have looked to him for architecture to rebuild their lives. But his failure is also a lesson. Charisma, clarity, and even suffering are not proof of integrity. Strategy without substance is a hollow myth. Many of his followers still glorify him, but the real truth is he shattered before the battlefield arrived. That is the real cost of the buildup, not only for Peterson, but for those who were told he was their guide. He was not a warrior. He was a man outpaced by his own myth. Order the Spartan Mindset today and embark on your journey toward becoming the leader your world needs. Let your struggles forge you into a warrior of character and resolve. The Spartan Mindset provides a comprehensive and actionable guide to personal development and resilience. Available now for just $19.99. Purchase your copy from the links in the description box below and on this channel's homepage, because your future begins with the right mindset, the Spartan Mindset.